What's going on, guys? Eric here with driverlineup.com, world's okayest steering wheel holder. I gotta make these two beds back here. We are getting on the road today. Well, we're going to Prime anyway. Today's Sundays. We're headed to Prime. Probably gonna get some sleep there before calling to get a load. And I just fired up the APU for the first time in like 4 or 5 days, and it is blazing hot in this truck right now. So I'm waiting for it to cool down before I go back there and start making beds. Because making beds in a truck when there's no, like fitted sheets and everyone, the whole process, I don't know why, man, but it's a freaking job. It wears me out. I gotta make both those beds. Is what it is. That's one of the tasks that I have. We have this process of getting the truck ready to go. Jenna does a lot of the laundry and stuff. I make the beds, and it sucks. I hate doing it so much, especially when the truck's just been in the oven for the past few days. But anyway, the reason we're not going to call for a load, we're going to go to Prime and get some sleep in the truck and just be ready to call for a load late tonight. The reason we're not going to call for a load, and I'm going to get to the story. Don't worry, guys. I'm going to get to the story about this horrific crash, but I got to tell you guys this. It's really important. So I've been up all night. I haven't slept since yesterday morning. Today's Sunday, I think it's Sunday. Anyway, yesterday morning, so I'm pretty beat, but the reason is we put an enormous amount of work and upgrades and all kinds of stuff on driverlineup.com. You guys, please go check it out and join. It is a brand spanking new website, all new design on the main site. Just go there and click join on the homepage. It's a full featured social network, you guys, not some lame, crappy, like Joomla or Buddy Press or any crappy thing like that. I'm telling you, it's really nice. We spent thousands of dollars getting this up and running. It has a mobile app. It's all free. You can create groups, join groups. We got groups for trucking with pets, highway diamonds, women in trucking, PSD, TNT. You can run a profile, customize your profile. You can friend with each other. You can direct message each other. You can jump into group chats. You can jump into a network-wide chat. So many things you can do. It's a very powerful social platform that we've built custom for you guys. There's over 500 drivers on there right now. Well, current, future, past drivers. Do you have to be at Prime? No, you do not. It is primarily Prime drivers right now, and that'll be the core community for a while. But it's for anybody. You could drive for anybody and go join in on the fun. If you don't like the toxic environment of Facebook, which I hate, I literally don't have a Facebook account. I cannot stand Facebook. So I built my own. And Zuckerberg or none of them own your data. The only people have access to your data is myself and the engineers and all that good stuff. But I'm not selling anything to anybody. But it's a really great place, you guys. And I can't look. I've been literally working on this for the past 20 hours, nonstop, all night long, working on this, coding, fixing. I have broken PHP lines of code all night long. It's a pain in the butt, but I got it going. And I think it's really, really nice. And there's a lot of cool things coming still. So please go check it out. Join, free account. Connect with us. I'd love to connect with you there. Anyway, so that said, that's why we're not going to be on a load tonight. So let's get into the story. Let me go check and make sure this AC is running. I'll be right back and we'll jump into it. All right, AC's starting to cool down, so I think it's about good and ready for me to go back there, start making these beds so we can get rolling. Anyway, so there's this tragic story. I actually read about this I want to say 2 weeks ago, and I'll see if I can find the story and link to it below. But it's been a couple weeks since I've seen it. The reason that it stood out to me so much is because this happened at a rest area on Interstate 81 over in, I want to say, oh man, where was it? Virginia or somewhere like that. I can't remember exactly where. Maybe further south, maybe in Tennessee or anyway, somewhere over on 81. At a rest area. Jenna and I had 2 days before this happened, we had been at that rest area, and so that really stood out to me because like it was just so familiar in our minds. So what happened was, you guys remember like a month ago, 3 weeks or a month ago, there was just torrential downpours, rain everywhere, and super like real, like legit serious rain everywhere, and severe thunderstorms, and it was just terrible. In fact, I did a video about us, I think it was a few days later than that, or maybe no, it's right before that, had to shut down for a few hours because we had an empty trailer, and it was just gnarly going through Nashville area, through all the storms and stuff. So that storm caused all kinds of havoc across the country. And what happened was, there were a couple trucks parked in the big wide shoulder on the on-ramp of a rest area, which you guys know is not uncommon at all. I know Prime frowns upon parking on exit and on-ramps that are just at normal exits, but in rest areas and those big wide shoulders, it's perfectly fine normally in non-extreme environments to park over in those exits and on-ramps, as long as you're not way like down, but if you're in the curve and stuff like that, shouldn't be any issue. So they're safely out of the way, they're not blocking anybody, not what do you call it when you're prohibiting traffic, impeding traffic, none of that. And one SUV, I believe it was an SUV, don't quote me on this, but it's four-wheelers, so it doesn't really matter what kind of vehicles it was, but one SUV comes around this curve on the interstate and hydroplanes in water and hits the patch of grass. There's a patch of grass between the interstate and the on-ramp road, right? It comes to a point where you actually get onto the interstate, right? So there's this grass, it's kind of almost like a triangle, but it'd be a curved triangle. But anyway, hydroplanes on the interstate 81 slides across this grass, across the pavement of the on-ramp, and slams into the trailer of a parked truck. And I mean like really slammed, like it got crushed up underneath this trailer. And then I believe a second vehicle right after that did the same thing, So imagine being the driver in this trailer, right? I think it was super early in the morning. You're gonna feel that because these vehicles are probably going at normal interstate speed, and it would rock the shit out of your truck if a couple four-wheelers had come across the grass and slammed into your trailer, got pinned up underneath your trailer. So I don't know if it was the driver in the truck that got hit. I'm making some assumptions and saying it probably was one of those drivers, and I believe a second driver from either from that truck or another truck. I didn't see details on that. Anyway, they got out of their trucks to go try and see if they needed to save someone's life or check on them or whatever it may be. So they run out to these cars that are smashed into a trailer, and the worst, like some Final Destination shit happens. was there trying to provide emergency assistance to the four-wheeler drivers that were penned up underneath the trailer. Guess what happens? Another four-wheeler hydroplanes at the exact same spot across the grass where the other vehicles had just done the same thing, and hits the two drivers and kills them. So just such a horrible situation. And it turns out that I don't believe any of the four-wheeler drivers had life-threatening injuries, which is kind of a double whammy. So why am I telling you guys this? Well, now I'm not going to be a backseat driver or a armchair quarterback. I am not, and you shouldn't either. None of us should look at this and say, well, I would have done this differently and I would have done that differently. You don't know. You don't know what the situation was. You don't know what unless you were there, you don't know. So you can't say you would have done the same thing or you would have done something differently. I will say that I think these two drivers, I don't know if they're men or women or a team, or I don't know, but I'm just going to say on the surface, what they did was heroic. On the surface, jumped out of their trucks, probably hadn't even brushed their teeth, probably were asleep, get rattled, throw their clothes on, and their immediate action is to go try and save someone's life. Whether that was a good or bad decision on their part, which again, I don't know, makes them, in my book, rather heroic. So let me say that and get that out of the way first. The reason I bring this up, though, is because it makes me, I am already extremely situationally aware. Sorry, I'm sleep deprived too. I'm already very situationally aware, just generally speaking in life. Like if we go to a restaurant, I will sit in a booth or somewhere where I can see the main entrance, and I'll also take note of where all the exits are. Same really with anywhere I go into. Where are my exits? I want to be mindful of, if shit goes down, I have the ability to fight fire with fire, but I also know, and that's all I'm going to say about that, but I also know where my exits are. Where can I maneuver? What kind of move could I possibly have to make to potentially save my life and maybe someone else? So I'm very situationally aware. Same with driving a truck. It drives me batty. Now, some of you may disagree with this, but if you don't yet drive a truck, let me just say this. And this is just my opinion. When you're coming up on the left of my trailer, way back there, in the middle of the night, 2 o'clock in the morning, you're over there in the left lane and I'm in the right lane because I'm a prime truck, you do not need to put your bright lights on to tell me that you're there. Any good driver is going to know that you're there. Now, I understand you're a little bit paranoid, I get it. But when you flash your bright lights to tell me you're there, you freaking blind me, okay? That drives me insane. If you need to turn your lights off and back on, do that. Don't flash your bright lights into my mirror, because that's what causes the problem. Anyway, my point is, I'm very aware. And believe it or not, for those who don't drive a truck, these new trucks, yeah, we have some blind spots, but when we're going straight down the interstate, man, this mirror situation, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I have 7 mirrors. 7 mirrors, and I have a pretty damn good idea of what's happening everywhere except for a couple feet directly behind my truck when I'm going straight down the interstate. Very much aware. I'm very much aware, way ahead, because I've hit a deer before. That sucked. And I've had a high voltage power line hit me from above. That sucked. So now I'm even more, now I'm really, really watching for little, I'm looking at bridges differently now. Not only am I making sure that I'm not going under a low bridge, I'm making sure there's not a freaking power line hanging underneath one. but I'm aware of what's going on way far behind me, because in case I have to exit my lane and get into, the left, am I going to be able to? And just all these things I'm thinking about. I like to be situationally aware. It's so important. And again, I'm not saying that I would have done something differently at this rest area, but it does make me think I should really process things very carefully when an emergency situation is going down. Because, again, I have to keep stressing this, you guys, because I don't want somebody to be like, screw you, Eric, you don't know what you're talking about. You weren't there. I get it, I know. But it does make me think, if something like that happens to me, maybe I can learn a little bit from this situation. Again, I'm not saying they made a mistake, but maybe I can learn from this situation. Because the question that was going over and over in my head was, what would I have done if I was in, now knowing that was the end result, knowing that, with that knowledge, what would I do in that situation? So if I'm asleep in a rest area and all of a sudden, boom, the trailer gets hit and the whole truck rocks, I get up, put my pants on, and I see, oh my God, there's a four-wheeler pinned underneath the trailer. It's pouring down rain. And a second one is hit. Maybe I'm going to try and process a little bit about how this could continue getting worse. Again, it's hard to say, because there's like that split section. And again, I think these drivers were heroic, but it's hard to say. But it just makes me. I think we need to think about these kinds of scenarios when the weather is very extreme, when it's potentially dark. I don't remember how early it was. It's obvious that there are conditions that are making it such that so that vehicles cannot get traction at this particular point. Do I want to hop out and get in the path of that? Not saying that you don't want to try and help people. You absolutely do. And I want that to be a part of the algorithm. But am I helping someone if I'm dead? You know what I'm saying? So all that to say, this is for current drivers. If I can get you to, provoke some thought for you, because it's very thought-provoking for me. And if you're coming into the industry, or if you're just driving a four-wheeler, it's really relevant for everybody. Really, really take the extra time and go the extra mile in making certain that you are aware of all possible variables of any situation. And if it's really bad weather and something like that happens, maybe take a couple extra seconds. Again, I'm not second guessing these guys. I'm just thinking for myself, what would I do now that I know what happened? And survey the environment a little bit. Again, the reason these guys were so heroic is because their instant reaction was to throw caution to the wind on everything else, get out of the truck and go help those people. And maybe that's the right thing to do. I don't have the answers to this. I'm just saying it's making me think. And it's not necessarily about that particular instance. It's just about a lot of instances, There's been a lot of things that I've learned from out here. The reason that driving at night, like I've taught myself to look ahead and look at the road and see things in different perspectives, is because hitting the deer was eye-opening. Hitting the power line was eye-opening. I hit a 5-gallon Home Depot bucket with a lid on it in Florida one time, sitting straight up in the middle of the lane. And it was orange, but I didn't see it until the last minute because I was watching construction signs at a construction zone coming up. There wasn't vehicles in the other lane, but it just didn't really catch me that it was an object in the road until it was like right there. And if I had tried to swerve at that stage, it could have caused bigger problems than hitting the bucket. So because it was standing straight up, I knew I was going to hit it. And if it was full of, you know, sand or paint or concrete, it would have been awful. Fortunately for me, it was an empty bucket, and it was just, you know, it popped not popped, but just cracked all to pieces when I went over it. But each one of these instances has really trained me to use my eyes and my mind differently when I drive through the night. And I'm not really sure what we can learn from this tragedy on Interstate 81, but it certainly makes me think. I don't think that we should be hesitant to try and help each other in bad situations, but I also want to make sure that and again, I'm not second guessing these guys, just thinking in the future, if certain scenarios happen to me, can I look at things a little differently? Can I look at different angles? Can I look at the landscape around me? Can I be more situationally aware in that moment that might help others and help me in the long run? So it's just, you know, food for thought. You cannot be enough situationally aware out here. One little slip up, man, and things can really, I mean, think about those drivers, you know, having a good sleep. It's raining, which is good sleep for me when it's raining. Probably at the end of their sleep, so they're well rested, and they get shaken up, and then they're dead. I mean, that's life just snuffed out, just like that, you know. It's dangerous out here, guys. It's dangerous because it had nothing to do with them driving their trucks. Nothing. It had nothing to do with where they parked. It had nothing to do with, it's just a freak accident, you know? And there's not really anything you can do to prevent that, or is there? And that's a question I'm asking myself. So anyway, I cannot stress it enough this time after that, guys. Be safe and make good decisions. Making good decisions is a part of being safe and can save your life. So be safe, make good decisions, and as always, drive to thrive. You guys, talk to you soon. Next video will probably be out on the road or at Prime. So, all right, guys, peace out.